How many times in the past have you acted on an assumption and then realized how wrong you were? Assumptions seem to be a human thing. I'm not gonna tell you don't fucking assume shit. What I would suggest though, and what I do, what I started doing, is not acting on my assumptions. Assumptions are always wrong. They're always wrong. Never right. I'm gonna explain that in a second. Because you might be like, wait a minute, I've assumed shit before and then realize, oh shit, based on the, connecting the two dots, my assumption was this, and it turns out that was the truth, or that was like, that's how it came out to be. Yeah, I get it. I'll come back to why I say all assumptions are wrong. Okay. But I'm not going to tell you don't have assumptions. It's fucking like how can I ask that? It's a human thing. It happens naturally. We don't even try. Like, our mind just gets going. What I'm suggesting is don't act on the assumptions. I don't act on my assumptions. I'm going to tell you why I don't act on my assumptions. My assumptions, they have led me in the past to making mistakes, stupid mistakes too, like, shit that I could have just decided, no, don't do that because you're assuming some shit, or don't, like, that you don't even know it's true, and it impacts me in a negative way, and I'm like, fuck, I should have just waited, right? I should have seen the full evidence, the full data, everything, to figure out this thing before jumping into something blindly. I've gotten myself in trouble and shit before because of acting on my assumptions, whether it's good or whether it's bad. In a good way, where you assume and shit is bad, okay? Like, I'll give you an example. Somebody's low on cash, and they are talking to people here and there, left and right, trying to figure out who can help them. They're good people. They're gonna help them back. They're gonna give the money back and everything, and like all that stuff. Amazing people, right? But they're short in cash. They really needing the money, and somebody maybe calls them, or they run into somebody, and that person's like, oh, listen, I might have a couple $100 at home. I just gotta go home and check that, and I'll give you a call later. Then the people, the person that was struggling might go home and say, okay, yeah, he said he's just gotta go home. He's gonna see that, and he'll call us to give us the money. And they create this assumption. They create this story, this made up thing in their mind, and they feel relief. That person feels relief. Okay, yeah, I was struggling. I needed the money, but that person's gonna call me, and I'm just waiting for that. And so they stop searching, or they stop trying to figure out their situation. They just relax and wait for that call, assuming that person is most likely going to give them or let them borrow that money. Then what happens? The person calls and says, hey, listen, I thought I had some. I guess I might have used it last week on fucking a lawnmower or whatever, right? We're just talking shit here anyways, but whatever. But the money's gone. And because that person assumed that they were going to be helped by that other person, now they're in a much worse situation because they didn't just act on the assumption and it wasn't real, but also they didn't continue to figure out who can help them with shit. And so what happened is they wasted all that time while they were just feeling relieved and just feeling in comfort because their assumption was so positive. Now they're in a much worse situation. So you can see how, in whether it's an assumption towards something good or an assumption towards something bad, there could be critical moments. I don't act on my assumptions, and I say that they are all wrong because assumptions, like even assumptions about people, like when you assume something about somebody else and you don't know that's true and you act on that assumption, you can give that other person a certain feeling that is that you, like, for example, you're thinking bad about somebody and you're assuming shit, and so you go angrily and try to beat this person's ass, and then the dude maybe talks to you, or maybe you guys talk and you realize, holy shit, that was wrong, right? You could see how so much shit can be avoided if you stop acting on your assumptions. Now, how can you stop acting on your assumptions? The reason you act on your assumptions, it's not even because of the story itself. It's not even because of the assumption that you've created in your mind. The reason you start acting on your assumptions is because of the emotions that you generate from those assumptions. So if it's something bad, you generate anger. And that anger leads you to act with a fogged up mind. It leads you to act with a foggy mind that doesn't allow you to see the truth. So you go and you act out of anger, and then realize, oh shit, that was bad. And the other way, when it generates happy emotions or good emotions, it gets you to, for example, those people, the example that I used, those people felt so relieved. They felt safe. They generated these emotions of comfort. So they settled down, they relaxed, they chill, and then it turns out, bam, yeah, it ain't like that. It's the emotions that we generate from those assumptions that lead us to act. Now, for me, what keeps me from acting on my on my assumptions is just keeping this in mind. When I'm creating an assumption, when my mind starts to work on something that I don't have the full data about, I keep in mind that this is an assumption. It's not true. An assumption is something that you just think it is. It's not proven. So it's not real. How much sense does it make to act on something that's not even true? The other thing, emotions. My emotions. I don't act on my assumption because of the assumption. I act on my assumption because of the emotions it generates. So what do? I stay aware at the fact that my assumption is not real. Therefore, these emotions are not valid. I'm feeling angry for no reason at all. I'm feeling this overjoyous shit for something that's not even true. Now, do not act because I'm acting on false statements, false data, false images just created by my own mind. Keeping myself aware that it's just created and it's not true, and that my emotions are what lead me to act, just those two things keep me self-aware enough to the point where I can neutralize my assumption and the way I feel, and just let my mind create that assumption but not act on it. Just those two things. Just being aware at those two things. It's not real. It's an assumption. My emotions are what lead me to act, so I won't let my emotions get to me because this isn't real in the first place. Those two things. And that's it. For me. Well, I'll leave you guys with that one on this one. I'm gonna enjoy the sun over there because it's hiding over there. It looks beautiful. I'll see you guys on the next one. Love you all. Bye.